Coming up on West Side Stories, how Michigan schools are handling student safety following the Parkland shooting.
And how some Grand Valley State University students are dealing with the looming DACA ruling. Plus,
we take a closer look at the Grand River following weeks of near-record flooding. Is there an end in sight to this yearly occurrence? All that and more next on West Side Stories.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.
Welcome to West Side Stories. I'm Preston Donikoski.
And I'm Reagan Blissett.
Last month, tragedy struck in Parkland, Florida, when a former student opened fire in a high school and killed 17 people.
Since then, there has been a growing movement led by students to pressure Congress for stricter gun control. Reporter Alexandria Kelly explores how some Michigan schools are dealing with potential threats to student safety.
On February 14th, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, was the scene of a tragic school shooting that has galvanized the gun control movement. Nicholas Cruz, an expelled student from the high school, is accused of gunning down 17 people last month and injuring 17 more. This incident is now the 9th deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. According to state police, many schools across the state of Michigan are dealing with potential threats and school closings. After the Parkland, Florida shooting incident, Michigan schools have seen an increase in threats, rumors of threats, and school closings. Northview High School in Grand Rapids is one of the schools who most recently shut their doors on a weekday due to a threat against the high school and middle school, which turned out to be a non-viable threat. Stacy Hall, a parent of a Northview High School student, has been able to keep up with threats and rumors online.
Schools now, especially this one, I get a lot of information on what their plans are and what they're going to do and how they're always handling stuff, and they keep us very updated. So I feel pretty comfortable. If they think it's safe enough to send them to school, then I will back them, I think, unless I see something other than what they say.
Amy and Thomas, a Northview High School student, went to school that day and didn't find out about the threat until he got there. Thomas said he had some mixed feelings after finding out about what was going on.
A little unnerved, but for the most part not too worried. I couldn't really explain why I wasn't so worried. I like to be calm about stuff whenever something like that happens.
Thomas says students should think twice before coming to school if they think something is going on.
Take the safe side and not come to school. It's understandable why you wouldn't. Yeah, if I knew, I probably would stay after too.
Northview is one of the schools on the west side of Michigan that have dealt with this problem, but on the east side, it's happening too. Plymouth Canton Educational Park, PCEP for short, is a high school campus in Canton, Michigan. PCEP has 3 high schools and over 6,500 students. At the end of February, PCEP was on a soft lockdown as rumors spread about a possible gun at school. In a soft lockdown, teachers teach class, but no one can leave classrooms until the lockdown is over and staff is on a heightened alert. When students found threats written on bathroom walls in Canton and Salem High School, the threats were taken seriously, and the teen responsible is now being charged with terrorism and making bomb threats. Because of those threats, students were sent home early. In an interview with WXYZ, Monica Merritt, the Plymouth Canton Community School Superintendent, said that threats made against their schools, regardless of intent, will not be tolerated. Any threats to the safety of the students and staff will be taken seriously, and those deemed responsible will be held accountable. Lockdowns, school days canceled, and early dismissal are not new to PCEP, though. 6 years ago, there were multiple bomb threats in the fall, and students were put on full lockdown 2 days in a row for 2 different threats. Jacob Riegel, a senior at Canton High School, says that these precautions are necessary even if this is not a new occurrence.
Even though it was a soft lockdown, I'm glad they did it because they have to take the threat seriously. Even if it is nothing or even if it is just a stupid rumor, I'm glad they are putting us on the lockdowns. Because if they did ignore it and it was something big, that they'd be responsible for lives lost. It's very scary, and it feels very surreal.
Regal also wants to see students take these lockdowns more seriously. He says school officials can also communicate better with students.
For the first lockdown that we had, no one knew what was going on. Everyone was forming rumors. The weirdest rumor that I heard was that someone let like a raccoon loose in one of the schools, and that's why we were on the lockdown. In my opinion, I think like having our phones on us made it worse because it made the rumors spread even faster.
Whether threats are written on bathroom walls or overheard in the hallways, schools across Michigan are taking these possible threats very seriously. Authorities have made it clear that those who make threats will face the severe consequences. Parents and students are hoping that this will be the last they hear about gun violence or bomb threats in their schools. Reporting for West Side Stories, I'm Alexandria Kelly.
On March 14th, students across America walked out of classes in protest of congressional inaction on gun control. Additionally, another nationwide walkout is planned for April 20th, the 19th anniversary of the Columbine school shootings. For more information, visit nationalschoolwalkout.net.
According to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, there are over 12,000 young people benefiting from the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, in the state of Michigan alone. While politicians continue to debate the future of DACA, Linnea Martinez takes a closer look at how some GVSU students are coping.
It's tragic, but there's also an opposing view. You got these people supported by DACA, but a lot of them don't take advantage of actually getting their citizenship.
While some aren't sure what to think of the DACA program, others are living it.
My name is Cristina Niño Zavala Angel Villanueva Vargas, and I am a DACA student.
My name is Juan Fernando Mascoro Guerrero. I am a dreamer and a DACA student.
Two Grand Valley students face an uncertain future as the DACA program is once again being called into question. The DACA program, which was put in place by the Obama administration, gives certain benefits to illegal immigrants who came to the United States before they turned 16. Meet Cristina Niño Zavala, a first-generation college student working on her degree in criminal justice at GVSU. Niño Zavala says she owes a lot to the DACA program.
It allowed me to have a job to help me pay for that higher education. So I guess DACA is like an opportunity. It's a spark of hope for something that's coming for the future.
Niño Zavala divides her time between working, volunteering, and being a full-time student. She was brought to the U.S. as an infant. She says her parents gave up everything to give her a chance at a college education.
If I would have stayed in Mexico with my parents, then I probably would be working at a factory. I probably would have not finished elementary school.
President Trump's decision to rescind DACA stirred up controversy all across America, sparking protests of outrage from DACA students and supporters. For Niño Zavala, if the program ends, it may cost her her future.
Once DACA is over, then you're not secured anymore. And now the government knows where I live, they know where I work, they know where I study. Right now, I'm like, oh, I'm safe, but I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
DACA recipients are given renewable 2-year permits of deferred action from deportation. Niño Zavala says that if the program is permanently discontinued, at the end of her permit, she'll most likely be going back to Mexico, leaving her 4 siblings behind. Juan Mascoro Guerrero is another student at GV who's concerned about what rescinding DACA means. He came to the U.S. when he was only 6.
I got DACA when I was a senior in high school. So I was blessed, very blessed to have DACA all throughout college, and I'll be graduating.
For Mascoro Guerrero, Trump's decision to rescind DACA came as a shock.
Kind of like a blow to the heart. It's like we received DACA, we had to give, so many of our personal details to the government, and now it's like they're just going to take it away.
According to him, 800,000 DACA recipients' lives are at stake. This number doesn't include their families, employers, and children. Mascoro Guerrero wasn't always open with his DACA status. He said that when his story was broadcast on Wood TV in September, people's opinions on him changed.
So they started putting, how they felt, and some were negative. It's like these people that I was raised with, people that I went to elementary, middle school, high school with, were saying that they need to deport all these DACA students. So I think that was the first time that I was like, oh wow, like there are people that truly don't want me here.
Every Thursday in Kirchhoff Center at GVSU, Mascoro Guerrero and Nino Zafala lead a group called Advocates for Immigration Reform, otherwise known as AIR.
We have students that come in and share stories about their parents. We also discuss what's happening out in the community.
Both Nino Zafala and Mascoro Guerrero argue that they are active, contributing members of the community. Making them leave, Mascoro Guerrero says, just doesn't make sense.
They invested so much time, like why would they want to get rid of us? Especially because many of us are, getting higher education.
He's like saying that Mexico's is only giving the worst, but honestly, I think that he's only gotten the best.
The Supreme Court recently rejected President Trump's appeal to rescind DACA, which means that, for now, DACA will continue. However, that doesn't ease either of these students' worries. Mascoro Guerrero says that there are still too many unknowns and that it's likely President Trump will continue to push for DACA's end, though they haven't given up hope just yet.
If there is one thing that I do attribute to DACA is like the power to not give up. I think a lot of us that are under DACA, we have been fighting most of our lives to become citizens, and so we're going to continue fighting.
Mascoro Guerrero and Nino Zafala are only 2 out of thousands of DACA students who are waiting for confirmation about their future. For now, they continue to hope that the Supreme Court's decision will hold. In Allendale, I'm Linnea Martinez.
Lawmakers will continue to debate the issue as DACA recipients remain on hold.
The Grand River is back to near normal levels after severe flooding caused damage to buildings and homes in the Grand Rapids area. Reporter Itasai looks into the aftermath and possible cause of what now seems like an annual occurrence.
2 weeks ago, the Grand River water levels nearly reached the bottom of the bridge. Every single year, Grand Rapids experiences flooding, and 2018 marked the second highest flood levels in recorded history.
This one in February was kind of unique, and it had to do with the fact that we had that significant rainfall coupled with the snow melt and the frost in the ground. And so I would say that, historically, we've experienced this pretty regularly, but not to this extent, and we were very well prepared to handle this one. We do know that the outside communities to Grand Rapids were affected very negatively, as was seen on a lot of the news coverage.
The record-breaking year was 2013, where hundreds of volunteers filled sandbags to shore up the banks of the Grand River. Since then, the city has improved its infrastructure to better handle high water conditions. Some residents say they aren't worried about the river flooding areas of the city. In fact, there were even those who decided to do a little fishing. Others were just thankful things weren't worse.
We're still blessed. At least we didn't get 50 inches of rain in one day, so, it's nothing we can really complain about.
So we kind of have to take the bitter with the sweet, I guess.
I'm sure it's probably happened before, and we just have to get some more tax dollars to pay for it.
We're pretty much, I feel fine, safe right here, but obviously if the water was a lot higher and was flooding the path, we wouldn't be here. But I'm sure they would close the park, so.
Data collected by the National Weather Service shows a trend towards higher water levels, which could mean flooding could become more frequent. Grand Rapids meteorologist James Maxco says that global temperatures are slowly rising. That means the U.S. could be more vulnerable to extreme weather conditions over time, and that could cause more flooding. The Paris Agreement is an international initiative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Many believe greenhouse gases are causing global warming.
Take the example of a car in the summer, right? You have the windows and you have the windows rolled up. But if you have your windows are getting thicker and thicker, so the sunshine comes in through the window, but then it changes form. It heats up the leather, the plastic, all the things inside the car, and it can't escape. We've only got this one Earth, and they talk about the moon, and they talk about Mars, but those don't have the atmosphere and the things that we have here.
There has been some public backlash after President Trump announced that the U.S. would withdraw from the Paris Agreement. Experts say that if all countries work together to limit global warming to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius, then we could limit up to 90% of the negative effects of climate change. However, some experts don't think that's possible without the support of key countries like the U.S. Even though Grand Rapids residents seem unconcerned about flooding right now, many say they have noticed strange weather patterns this winter.
It started out as a normal winter, and then the snow all went away, and then it all came back, and then there was like a week of warm weather and all the rain came, and I think everyone thought that spring was coming, but now there's snow again.
Climate change is real, regardless if people like it or not. Over the years, we've always had a lot of snow, and it's just been pretty consistent, but just the fact that we're having like a wide variety of temperatures, and we'll have a sunny day to it raining, to it snowing and sleeting, and all within the same week, I feel like it's getting a little more extreme than usual.
There has been global concern with the weather patterns that the world has been experiencing. Have we found a new normal? The water levels in the Grand River have stabilized already, but for how long? In Grand Rapids, I'm E12.
While climate change continues to be a hotly contested topic, at least in political circles, Grand Rapids residents seem to accept that the Grand River will continue to flood every spring. Only time will tell if the flooding will continue to challenge record levels.
Almost every team and university in the United States now has a mascot. They are commonly known as a face that represents a particular brand. The tradition of mascot revealing themselves varies depending on the school, but today we bring you the story of a GVSU student who made history with his mascot reveal. Reporter Callie Hubbard has the story.
My phone blew up.
Jake Kowalski's phone was ringing off the hook when he announced to the world last year that he was none other than Louie the Laker, the mascot for GVSU. His big reveal was last April. It was a big deal because no one had kept the secret for so long, 4 years in fact. But he knew he couldn't graduate without telling his family and friends that he was the big sailor on campus. He had no idea his dramatic reveal would go viral.
You are here to find out who has been Louie the Laker for the past 4 years.
When the lights came up, the world knew Jake Kowalski was Louie the Laker. He wasn't expecting his phone to explode after the reveal. He received more texts and calls that day than ever before.
I was shocked when I started seeing thousands watching it. I never felt more loved in my life.
All this attention from social media gave Kowalski an idea, or maybe an inspiration, to make his reveal set an example for future mascots.
Let's bring awareness to this character and help him grow even more.
Kowalski wants people to know that it takes a true passion to be a mascot. You're representing a brand for the university.
You can just have your mascot in a photo instead of having just a regular logo, because that mascot expresses happiness, expresses joy. That fan who's just there to watch the game, sitting all cross, like, I'm just here for the game, making him smile and laugh, realizing there's more than just the game going on.
So what is Kowalski up to now? He hasn't gone far. He's still in Grand Rapids. He says he enjoys hanging out at Joey's Tavern, a small restaurant in the city. Kowalski also takes boxing classes at a local Grand Rapids rec center. Even a year later, Kowalski still gets recognized and attracts a crowd.
This was me with the president on Grand Valley, like the head. Yeah,
Look at you. Kowalski says he's still passionate about mascotting and plans on mascotting for a professional NBA team in the future. You never know, you just may see him on the court and not even know it. From West Side Stories, I'm Callie Hubbard.
Kowalski is still pursuing his dream of mascotting part-time. To protect his identity, we couldn't release what team or company he's representing, but he doesn't plan on giving up mascotting anytime soon.
Taking the first steps into college can be difficult for any student, but student veterans at Grand Valley State University face these same difficulties on top of transitioning out of the service. Reporter Justin Pelham shows us how some veterans are learning how to adjust to college life.
Grand Valley State University has taken the initiative to help student veterans become successful students. Stephen Lipnicki has been in charge of the Veterans Initiative for the past 8 years. One program that was started to help veteran students is the Peer Advisors for Veterans Education program.
Growing into it, we've been a PAVE school for 3 years. The success that I see with the PAVE program is we are now making outreach every semester to the new student veterans who are starting at Grand Valley. So they are contacted by someone, they learn about resources that are available, and it establishes a battle buddy. So there's a connection now. If that student has any additional questions and they're not sure who to ask, they can contact their battle buddy, their PAVE advisor. PAVE advisors are also trained. They go through, I won't call it rigorous, but it's substantial training. So they learn a lot about how to interact with the veterans they'll be serving.
PAVE advisors play an important role in helping older students feel welcome at GVSU. They also help veterans cope with the changes of campus life.
You realize that you're older than a lot of people and you've seen a lot of different things and you might act a little bit different.
Being a veteran fresh out of the military is a lot tougher than you'd expect it to be. There's a lot of, physically you don't have to PT as much, you're not held accountable, but you're also in a different mindset and different place in life than the rest of the students around you. Not that that's better or worse, it's just different, and that's okay. And being in the Veterans Lounge and kind of hanging out with veterans kind of helped me see that a little bit better, that I'm not the oddball man out. I have people I can relate to.
The Veterans Lounge in the Kirchhoff Center is one place where veterans can go to meet other veterans who are on campus.
I did not have any friends until I came to the Veterans Lounge, and I think that's the big thing that it brings us is camaraderie. We all have something in common and we all have a place to go. And other than it being a good study area, it's also a great place to meet people and get more involved.
Anderson says one way veterans can get involved on campus to help fit into college life is through the Student Veterans of America.
I've gotten involved with the Student Veterans Association on campus. They really helped me transition out of the military in a productive way. They helped me focus on my studies and get a good group of friends around me that can relate to my circumstance and that kind of knows where I'm coming from. And they've been a blessing in my life, really.
Grand Valley officials say they are making adjustments every year to keep up with its changing veteran population.
No, as I mentioned, I think Grand Valley is well positioned right now. We've got a lot of good things in place, but I don't think we're at the end of the journey. I think there are things that are changing, and I think the veterans are changing. We do training here for faculty and staff, and the primary message of this year's training is if you know a veteran, you know one veteran. So we have to remember that each military member has their own unique experiences, and we have to not make assumptions about what military members may or may not have experienced prior to that.
Reporting from Allendale, I'm Justin Pelham.
Thank you, Justin, for that story. And more changes are on the way for Grand Valley veterans as the university has just received a $1.3 million grant to help future student veterans.
Grand Rapids is known by many as Beer City, USA, and has been voted Best Beer Town 2 years in a row by USA Today. Now, National Beer Day isn't until April 7th, but as Kendra Jarzma reports, that hasn't stopped Grand Rapids from starting the celebration early.
Grand Rapids is home to over 80 breweries and also home to people who love craft beer. To celebrate and explore the many venues and drink varieties, Grand Rapids hosts Beer Month once a year. Events include a beer festival and a week to celebrate Founders Brewery Kentucky Breakfast Stout. Bars and breweries like Bobberino's Inside the Bob also create special drinks and food dishes, trying out new flavors and combinations.
Our two dishes that we're featuring here at Bobberino's is a smoked half chicken featuring our Crimson King Amber Ale. It has a Crimson King demi-glaze drizzled over the top of the chicken. We also have just like the perfect winter soup. It's a beer and bacon cheesy soup. Definitely like sticks to your ribs and warms the soul. Both pair super well with the Crimson King Amber.
Bobberino's featured dishes are part of Cool Brews Hot Eats, where breweries pair beer and food together. Many of the specials can only be found during this time. Craft beer is often used in new dishes or added to old favorites.
Right now we have a fruit beer. It's called Life's a Peach. It's just a blonde ale with peaches in it.
Then we also have a pizza made with our Blacktoberfest beer. It's, barbecue sauce is infused with that, and then just pulled pork and bacon. Another one is a waffle with ice cream, and that's drizzled with a reduced foreign extra stout. We're always playing around in the kitchen anyway, so it's just like, what do we like? And the barbecue sauce has been one of the favorites, so that was obvious.
Grand Rapids Beer Month has gained national attention, and people from other states and countries have come here to try the food and brews created for this event.
We had people in here from Texas, New York, Canada, all over.
Part of what makes Beer Month so popular is the creativity and variety of craft beers.
I tried a few different beers at some of the breweries. People definitely pull out the stops, put out some of their more interesting or experimental brews during Beer Month.
While Beer Month officially ended March 15, many bars and breweries continue to have special dishes or happy hours for a few more weeks. In Grand Rapids, I'm Kendra Jarsma.
You know, it's a trend we got going on here. Every week I tend to leave this place hungry after seeing stories like that.
Always, after every week. And that is all the time that we have for you today. I'm Reagan Blissett.
And I'm Preston Kuski. We'll see you next week.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.